Inside the Birds is back. What's going on, everybody? Geoff Mosher, Adam Caplan here, and boy, oh boy, Adam, I almost don't know where to begin following this hideous, unsightly 23-23 tie that we witnessed today between the Eagles and the Bengals. There are some micro issues that we have to get into as far as the game itself. And then there's some macro issues that I think we need to explore as far as, what this tie, and I'm going to keep calling it a loss accidentally. I know in the standings it favors you a little bit. You finished 8-7-1. That's better than 8-8, right? So, but honestly, it felt like a loss, man. It still does. It's hard to glean positives, even neutralities from this.
So welcome to Monday morning, folks. I know on your way into work. I know what it's like. I've talked to so many friends Sunday night who were season ticket holders. Obviously they can't go right now, and they're stuck at home and seeing this debacle. And now they're driving in Monday morning, listen to us, and they're miserable. And I feel your pain. I understand. Geoff and I totally understand. Believe me. This is a game shouldn't be a cakewalk. I haven't picked the team. I haven't picked a game right this season. It's unbelievable. If you're someone who likes to do suicide polls, pick the opposite of what I pick. You'll win. Well, actually, no, they tied. So, I mean, it's just, look, the first half, there's no doubt not having fans there in a way it's impossible to quantify how much of a factor it is. They're not feeding off the crowd like they love to.
Mm-hmm.
It's certainly a factor that no one is really talking about, but clearly it's a factor because the players are not feeding off the crowd. I think that there's something to that, but that's so minor.
You're right. Yeah. It helps the road team. It is minor, but it's also not. But because it really does help the road team. They don't have to worry about silent counts.
Tremendously.
Experienced teams.
Yes, absolutely. I've been trying to tell people that coach told me. He said that it's now coaches versus coaches, and players versus players. That you're taking the crowd out of it. They're not there. So I thought that was a problem. A small issue, but the big picture issue, the stuff that really matters.
Right.
The quarterback did not play well. Carson Wentz, though he had a very courageous comeback. I give him credit for the touchdown run. Bring the team back when he had to late, but so many plays where you go, okay, that one was good, but what happened here? Why did you miss that throw? The wheel route to Sanders, which would have clinched the game for him, it would have been a touchdown. Sanders won that route. He got separation late, and he got separation. You got to hit it. Not an easy throw. I get it, but you got to hit that. This has been the story of Carson Wentz, Geoff, the last two seasons. Certain games, particularly this season, he's not hitting throws that he needs to hit.
No, he certainly isn't. You're right. That was a big, big miss. In fact, you could argue that he hits that. It's a completely different game. And I don't even think it was that difficult of a throw, but I understand you're not throwing to a receiver, you're throwing to a running back, and he got open late because he had to put the double move on the linebacker.
When you're playing well.
Yeah.
What a move, by the way.
This is the same Carson Wentz who rolls out to the right and hits Miles Sanders last year in the back of the end zone while Miles is on his knees and Carson's. So he can make that throw. That you got to hold him to that standard.
That's a different throw, though. Yeah, that was not a wheel route. But what the fact of the matter is, you're right. That was a fastball throw, and the only way it was going to hit it was a fastball. This one is a touch throw.
Right.
You got to hit those throws.
Yeah.
So that's where I'm at with Wentz. He had a disappointing game. There's no – while there's certainly some positives, he made some tight throws to Ertz. So the one throw to Ertz in the second half was beautiful. What a great throw that was. But
nicest throw of the game probably, yeah.
Yeah, too many bad throws in the first half. It's just off. I've been saying the last couple of shows, let's not worry about what he doesn't have. He controls the accuracy.
Mm-hmm.
That's my problem with this. Sure, he's missing a lot of people. It doesn't matter. What matters is accuracy. If he's accurate and the guys aren't catching it, we can blame the guys who are not catching it. We could blame the guys who are not there. But so that's kind of my issue with Wentz right now.
It really underscores I joke about it, but it's true. On our Inside the Birds pregame live show that I thought went off really well and great commentary from both Greg Cosell and Trey Thomas. We do a segment where we pick the game, right? And Trey, who's done a good job, he picked the Rams, so good.
He got it again.
Yeah, we said, Trey, who's going to win this game? And he said, I don't know. I'm like, what do you mean you don't know? I mean, you got to pick somebody. He goes, honestly, who knows? And I thought he was being a little contrarian, but he certainly wound up being absolutely accurate in a tie. It's who knows? Anybody could have won that game.
Exactly. It just, I know people are beating up Pederson because he didn't kick the field goal. It's saying that he was being too conservative. Okay, say whatever you want to say, but that's just pales in comparison to all the issues this team has.
Right.
Coaching certainly is clearly a part of it.
Right.
That's one thing, but their underachievement, which is people want heads to roll, and I understand it. I've looked at some of the comments on social media. It's a lot of anger. It's to the point where people don't quite understand. Like, it's funny. I saw some. I don't really respond to any of the stuff, but I thought some of the comments were really smart. How do you get this team to actually win a game, Geoff? I'm going to pose it to you. I didn't answer. I thought it was one of the best questions that I got on my mentions.
It's a phenomenal
I don't
question.
even know how to answer it. Go ahead.
And I don't know where to start. I think that's going to be that is going to be probably the tone of this podcast is, how do you fix the Eagles? Where do you begin? There's the obvious of Carson Wentz, but we also have to acknowledge the injuries again to wide receiver, the offensive line once again not holding up its end of the protection, the defense really coming on late, but early on, okay. The defense was good. I can give them a pass, but once again, not producing a turnover, which has been a real issue for them. So where do you start? I don't know. But I do, before we get macro, I want to bring this micro for a second and talk about overtime. All right. Because I am going to take Doug to task a little bit here.
Good.
On their second possession, it's amazing how many possessions each team had in overtime. That's how bad it was. Usually these overtime games these days are like done after 2 possessions max, right? The second possession, the Eagles get the ball to I want to say Cincinnati's 42, right? Remember, Burnett gets that catch. It's 1st and 15. He gets a 6-yard catch. Actually, they're at the 43, I think. And that's, to me, it's overtime. You're in Cincinnati's territory, right? You get the ball to their 42. If you run 2 or 3 times there, right, and you only get 5 or 6 yards, you're down to which is under the average that Miles Sanders was getting. Then you're down to like the 35, 36, and that's a makeable field goal for Jake Elliott. And they got a little cute there, and they tried to do a play action pass, and Carson missed somebody on 2nd and 19, and then 3rd and 19, he's going deep. I thought, normally I'm not a run pass ratio guy. I got no issue with whatever the ratio was at the end, but there was almost, to me, the game right there. You run the ball a couple of times, you pick up a few extra yards, and you put the game on the foot of your kicker. And they didn't do that. They tried to get more yards through the air on a day where they just didn't have a whole lot of weapons and things going for them. I think it's fair to second guess. I'm not saying Jake Elliott definitely makes the kick, but he's having a good day. It's at that point, it's a low 50-yard kick if you get a few yards. I thought they missed on that opportunity there. They got a little too cute.
It was actually a hot and humid day, around 80, and the ball would, obviously in that weather, the ball should move pretty well. Elliott hit that 61-yarder against the Giants years ago.
Right.
So, yeah, he's been with them a long time. They extended his contract. You should have confidence in him. But the throw it, I like to see. Greg Ward had a very good game. I know he's not explosive. I get it, folks. But the guy gets open. He would have been my possession route to the sideline. Give me 5 yards. Okay, I would have not had a problem with throwing the football. But, the play
it
calling.
was killer because they were at 2nd and 9 at the Cincinnati 42. And that's where the Nate Herbig holding penalty knocks him back.
Oh, and then
just think, and then
the prior play, and
that would be the ensuing possession, of course, with the prior play.
Yes.
Now, are you? So the philosophy is this: I get it. After the prior holding, they get knocked back pretty far. That's a really long field goal. I know he made the 61-yarder against the Giants, week 3. All the wonderful symmetry to that year in 2017 and what could have happened. But I guess instead of deciding on whether or not to kick that, as some people are saying they should have, there's less than 20 seconds left, Adam. Do you think about not going for it there? And if there's nothing there, you tell Carson to tuck it, run it, take more time off the clock. or throw the ball out of bounds. I mean, then you're at least taking a few more seconds off the clock, and you're only giving the Bengals, 15 seconds to try to go
but the problem is they're 20 yards away from kicking their field goal with Randy Bullock. So that's what I think that's what Pederson was thinking about. If they turn it over on downs,
playing good though.
Yeah, they got the look. I'll say this much though, and we're going to get to the defense in a second. We're going to touch on that. I just think that from a coaching standpoint, and I want to get to this right now because it's really bothered me. All the bells and whistles we were expecting, we've seen a little bit of ghost motion this season, very few plays. That's been about it. None of the special stuff, the space plays that we were expecting. You're bringing all these coaches in. Where is it? We've seen 3 games now. I'm sorry, it's unacceptable. Like this is what Jeffrey Lurie wanted. I could tell you is an absolute fact. This is why he was instrumental in the coaching changes. Okay, let's call it like it is. This is what we do on the show. We know we reported it months ago. I mean, it's not secret. This is what the owner wanted. They brought all these minds, these supposedly smart guys in. Well, it didn't happen yet. And guess what?
Yeah.
The team's 0-2-1.
Yeah, I did tell you. I really watched this with a lot of emphasis. There was more motion today than the first 2 games. However,
there was. Yes.
To your point, though, I felt like a lot of times it was slow. Like you would see either Hightower or in the first half Deshaun. There were a couple that you would see guys motion, but then they would go from one spot to the next, and there would still be 5 or 6 seconds before the ball was snapped. Right? They didn't use it in
no inside handoff.
The only time I remember that is a play that got blown up, and at least they tried. And then on the QB sneak, Hightower was in motion and pretended like the snap was going to him. But that's it. That's all.
I want the end around. You know how the Rams do with Robert Woods? He'll probably wind up having like 30 carries a season.
Yeah.
They do that inside handoff.
Right.
I love that when he comes around in. Tight end screens. Now, Goddard got hurt. We'll get the injuries in a second. Goddard is a great screen tight end. Greg Cosell talked about it. He's kind of like Tyler Higbee. He crouches down and hides behind the line and just goes upfield. They're not having any special plays. They're just not. I'm not seeing the creativity that I was expecting.
Right.
We're just not seeing it. Yeah, we saw some ghost motion. We saw some movement before the snap, but we're not seeing the special plays that we're expecting. It's 3 games in, time's wasting, the schedule's getting extremely difficult, and time's running out in this football team. I know it's 3 games. I know that the NFC East is horrendous. Not only is it the worst division of football, this is the worst I've seen it in years. It's really bad.
Yeah.
Really bad.
No, it is. And let's talk about some of those injuries that you mentioned and what that means in the big picture. Deshaun Jackson goes out with the hammy. Dallas goes out with the ankle. Jason Peters looks like he got hurt at the end, had to come out.
Yeah,
with his leg. Avonte Maddox. I mean, my God. The Eagles were like everybody lost everybody last week, and the Eagles only had a few injuries, like the Jalen Reagor one and Sayamalu. But then, of course, the Eagles become the Eagles, and now they've lost 3 or 4 other guys. And, now you got to fly across the country. And, I don't want to, like, make any long-term conclusions, but when Deshaun Jackson gets a hamstring injury, it's usually pretty telling that he's not going to be very, very infrequently is he available the next week.
Yeah, we'll have an update on that on our, later in the week. If it's a strain, I'm assuming it's a strain. Almost all these things are, unless you could have a hamstring spasm, but they're typically strains. He's had I don't know how many he's had in his career, these strains, but that stinks. That put them behind the 8 ball there. That was a problem with him not, because I tell you saw the first play of the game was a deep shot. How about that?
It was. I know.
And I knew they were going to, like Cosell talked about it, that the Phillips kid opposite William Jackson is not very good.
Mm-hmm.
And Jackson's a very inconsistent player. He's been a disappointing former first-round pick. You attack, and they had the right game plan. He leaves. Goddard, but Goddard was more impactful to the run and pass game. That crushed them. That absolutely crushed him. His ankle injury. He could. Yeah. Let me ask you a question. Did you notice? And I didn't see it. Like the broadcast team said that he returned to the field.
No, the sideline.
If he did, he was the sideline. Okay, because then he left, and no one saw him again.
Right. I thought he returned to the sideline. I'd have to go back and kind of jog my memory, but I don't think he ever made it back onto the field, and that did hurt them. And look, there's a lot of folks who like to play GM, and hey, we all do it. But I mean, they're ready to move on from Zach Ertz and say it's a Dallas Goedert one tight end offense now. But Dallas is now starting to compile a little list of injuries. I mean, today's the ankle. He had the broken hand in training camp. He had the calf injury. That's right, broken thumb, right? He had the calf injury at the start of last year. There was another injury in the Jacksonville game either a year or two ago.
Yes, that's correct.
I mean, this is a guy who, I mean, Zach has been, after the first 2 years where Zach also had to deal with injuries, Zach has been Mr. Reliable. And he made some amazing – that one-handed catch that he made was fantastic. I mean, he's the only guy that can make plays out there.
Yep. He's the thing is, he's so dependable. Mm-hmm. He always shows up. He gets the job done. You kind of know that he's not going to dominate blocking. You knew that going in. That's not going to change. But you know what he is. He's a phenomenal football player, great team leader. And Goddard's so gifted. And I know people brought up this, and it's such a fair question. We'll address it later in the year when we start figuring out what this roster is going to look like next year. But they have to see if they could get Jackson, or when they get Rager back later. I still think they got to not do so much 12. And they got kind of forced after Goddard left, obviously, Geoff, to go more 11, more than they would like to. But with Hightower playing, he had to play today, okay? Or Sunday. He had to play. He showed up. I mean, he didn't have a great game. JJ Arcega-Whiteside still missing in action. I don't know what to say anymore.
Well, let's talk about that really quickly, okay? Because I said on the Inside the Birds pregame live show presented by DraftKings, I asked you if this game would be telltale, and I said it could be telltale from two ways. One, JJ could get a lot of snaps and just not do anything with it. Or two, it could be that he's not even going to get that opportunity to get a ton of snaps at the X position. And it turned out to be the latter, right? I mean, the coaches had already decided going into this game that they were going to try a lot of different people at X, and that JJ was not going to be the man to get the lead horse to at least be given the shot to prove it. So that to me tells me they're done with him for now. They're done with him. And it could be for longer than
clear.
that.
Yeah, I don't know what in the world. John Clark from NBC Sports Philly, he said something might have happened in the pregame, but then he said he saw him warming up. Mm-hmm. Look, this was the game he had to show up, particularly when Jackson went out. Jeffrey's not ready yet. This is a wonderful opportunity, and you didn't show. And that can't happen.
Zero targets, Adam. Zero targets.
Can't happen.
This is Mac Hollins all over again, but even worse because JJ is a second-round pick, right? I mean, I don't even know if he's out there on special teams really giving you anything from that standpoint. They tried to use that as the rationale for why Mac Hollins should still be taking up a roster spot because he was such a great special teamer, which didn't really go over well with the fan base at all. But we're not even saying that about JJ. At this point, it just doesn't seem like there's ever going to be a role for him in this offense.
It is what it is. We know, but folks, we've only seen 50,000 messages about Metcalf. Okay, we know we're aware. Okay, we're.
By the way, did he do something special on Sunday? I know he.
Well, he did, but
he could have had 2 touchdowns.
Well, yeah, yes, and if you have him in fantasy like me, you want to pull your hair out. But I got his haircut, so I can't pull it all out. But anyway.
But he did catch the game-winning one, right?
He did. Yeah, he did. Look, the bottom line is this. They got problems all over the place. Coaching needs to be better. It's been severely disappointing. We're going to get the defense to close this thing out. I got plenty to say there. Mm-hmm. Offensively, the quarterback's struggling. He's still not good enough. Yeah, he was courageous in the way he brought the team back, and you got to give the guy credit. But the accuracy is a major problem. They got coaching issues. They got to reach this guy. They're not reaching him clearly. Doug Pederson, I want to make this clear. I don't know how involved he is in coaching Carson because typically the quarterback coach handles most of it, if not all of it. But maybe he's talked to Carson 101 about doing it the way that he's taught, but he's not, and he's forcing too many throws. Last year, when I was very vocal about him not trusting his pass targets. You remember? In fact, I remember you putting that. It's a matter of trust in the title of the show.
That's right.
And I thought it was fair. He you know what? Now it's not even about trusting them. Get the ball on them. Let them make the catch. And if they don't, it's on them. And he just follow the way the coaches are coaching you.
All right,
But
I want to.
go ahead.
Yeah, I want to get more into Carson Wentz with you.
Yeah.
I just want to bring this up, but first I want to tell people download the top-rated DraftKings Sportsbook app today and use code ITB for a special offer when you sign up. That's code ITB for a special offer when you sign up, and that's only at DraftKings Sportsbook. I wanted to piggyback. I didn't mean to interrupt you, but I want to piggyback off what you're saying.
Go.
So the team has a bunch of problems right now. They're turning the ball over. They're not getting turnovers themselves. They're not getting takeaways.
Jeff,
yeah.
4 in 7 games. 4 of their last 7 games have gotten turnovers. This
That's
defense.
awful. That's
Do you
awful.
think I was lying when I said they don't do enough pre-snap and post-snap stuff? No,
not at all.
I give the broadcast team credit. Adam Archuleta, you might remember him. He was doing the former Rams safety, Redskin safety. He did say that he had not seen them do this kind of pre-snap looks, giving Burrow some different looks. Good. It's good, but they're not getting turnovers. You can coach. You can coach certain things to get turnovers. It's not happening, man.
Right. That becomes a question about, Adam, if you're getting pressure, but you're noticing that your defense just doesn't get its hands on the ball, right? Well, the guys who get their hands on the ball in the NFL, they're playmakers, right? And what we know is the Eagles don't have playmakers at the linebacker level, and they don't have playmakers at the safety level. Cornerbacks, it's tough. Sometimes you just don't get thrown at. I mean, Darius Slay saved the game when he came back in. He made a bunch of pass breakups there in overtime.
Yeah,
but it catches up to you. We've talked about their lack of drafting linebackers and safeties high in the draft over the last 5 or 6 years. You know me, I scream about the whole safety thing.
Safety, you've been going crazy about that.
And I said the same thing about linebacker, right? Uh-huh. It catches up to you. Now, I'm going to talk about it, but I'm not going to make a big deal of it, right? The Bengals had 2 guys the Eagles liked and could have had, right, in Logan Wilson and Akeem Davis-Gaither. Wilson had the pick. All right, it fell into his hands, but still he had a pick, right? And Davis-Gaither almost blew the game because he's the one that Miles Sanders beat on that double move before Carson missed him. But then on the same double move in overtime, Gaither had it covered nicely. These guys are going to struggle, but they're getting out there and getting experience.
Correct.
The Eagles have a second-round pick from last year, a second-round pick from this year, and a third-round pick from this year that are not contributing. And at most, Jalen Hurts is getting very little experience and really none at what he might be, and that's a quarterback. That hurts them.
Yeah, it does. And, we nailed this one on Hurts. We told you he would not be a true quarterback here. He's a wildcat quarterback. He's a –
Year one, right.
Yeah, year one. He will eventually be next year, and I'm hoping they just let him be a backup quarterback. And let's stop with the gimmick stuff at some point. The kid has got skills. I'd like to see it. I'd like to see him throw the football. He's got a strong arm. Oh, by the way, before we move on here, it's now 2 games. It's clear to me that Nate Sudfeld is the 3. I didn't believe it when they did it last week. I thought, in the Rams game, I thought, okay, this is probably just – I don't know why Sudfeld's not active, but okay, well, they wanted to put Hurts in there, get his feet wet. They use him as a receiver. Okay, put him outside formation. This game, they let him run in a zone read, wherever it was.
Yeah.
Okay, so they've used him a different way of using him as not just a quarterback. Okay, this is what we expected. But I didn't think he'd actually be the number 2 quarterback now. Jeff, that's 2 games that Sudfeld's inactive. I think this is very clear to us. It's Hurts is the 2 and Sudfeld is not anymore.
Yeah, no, it really is. And, nobody wants to see Carson Wentz gets hurt. I'm a little bit curious about how Jalen Hurts would play if he had to be the quarterback. My instinct tells me not very well, not because I don't like the kid or not even because I disagree with using the pick on him. It's just it's very difficult. He's not getting a whole lot of reps, right, because he's not the first. It's not like Joe Burrow and Justin Herbert who are getting the reps and they're the guys and you tell them that even though you're rookies, we'll live with your mistakes because you're going to get all the time. I mean, he's probably doing more practice doing some of those gadgets than he is throwing the ball. So to me, it's a very big risk. But maybe the Eagles have felt like, look, if Carson gets hurt, we're not in a good spot with Nate Sudfeld, or we're not in a good spot with Jalen Hurts having to be the quarterback. So we might as well just go with Hurts, which I still don't understand. You can have all of them active, but I don't know.
Right, but it gives them a different look, okay? Because now you could – Hurts could do things that the other quarterback can't really do.
True.
And, you have to respect Hurts when he's out there with his ability to run the football. they were talking about it on the broadcast. There's no question he gives you a different element. There's no doubt. This is what excites me. It's just, Greg Cosell was talking about that the game is not the same as it once was. It's no longer just about a drop back quarterback. A guy 6'5". I'm not talking about I'm not talking about Wentz here. I'm just saying a guy who's 6'4", 6'5", 6'6", who can't move and just a drop back quarterback. Teams now like the guys who can move.
Right.
And, Carson, though, has really good athleticism. And, boy, did he put that in display on Sunday. He really did. Now, I know the 24-yard run, I wouldn't say he has a hitch in his run, but he not as smooth as he was before the ACL injury.
I would agree with that. It's like a gallop now, right? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Right. So, okay, but you know what? He can move. And he is healthy. And he is stronger physically. That's a good thing.
Right.
But, before, I don't want to beat this stuff into the ground here with Wentz, but we're all seeing it. I just don't know if it's ever going to get where he was, man. There's just something going on here with the coaching. I just can't put my finger on it because we're not in the building. We're not privy to how he's being coached. But he's not coached to throw the ball the way he's throwing in the footwork the way it is. And Greg Cosell's done and Trey Thomas too. That Trey had that breakdown for us in our show on Sunday, and Greg's been great since we've had Greg on our show. It's all out there, folks. If you watch our show on Sundays, no one breaks it down. No one can in this market, in the Philly market. Like we've got the two best on our show, and I beg you to watch their breakdowns on our last two shows on Wentz. I mean, it's about as brilliant as I've ever seen the quarterback stuff broken down in this market.
All right, let me ask you this, Adam. We've seen in the past when Andy Reid was coaching the team that Donovan McNabb would have these spells of inaccuracy. And when it got to be a little bit too much, a little later, then you saw Donovan actually had to bench. Andy had to bench Donovan in that game against Baltimore. Kevin Cobb came in. And then 4 days later, Thursday night game, Donovan's back in, and that kind of represented a turnaround. Do you think that we're getting close to that now, where Doug may have to make that difficult decision?
No, I don't. When you make a decision like that, it's two or three levels, 2 or 3 fold. You have to look at how do you feel where the backup is. Jalen Hurts is a kid that got off to an interesting start in training camp because he had a couple of really good days where you're like, wow, this is the way he was explained to me, like very intriguing. But the problem is he couldn't. It was hard for him to sustain it. Not having those 30 or so practices in the offseason, missing hundreds of snaps. He just needs more time. He needs an offseason like all these rookies do around the National Football League.
Right.
But what I don't know yet is I understand Nate Sudfeld has regressed. That's a fact. We all know this. This is something we've outlined for now 2 years. Since D. Flippo left, the quarterbacks have not been as good for whatever reason. Only Doug Pederson can really answer that. It's really he's in charge of it. It's you put it on him. It's a coaching issue, which we've outlined. It's got to be better. The quarterback's got to be better, but they have to make a decision here, as you ask it. If they were to consider doing it, what are they doing it for? What do they expect to get accomplished? Like you had said, I remember Andy used to say sometimes the quarterback needs to step back.
Yes.
And you give a shock to their system. Like, take a step back, get pissed off about it, and come back and play well. Because obviously, Carson's a type A. If they did this to him, it would drive him out of his mind. Because he is a type A like Aaron Rodgers, like all these great quarterbacks. He's like they think they're the best, and they sometimes play like the best. But it would definitely get his attention because something has to happen here with him. Something's got to happen over the next 4 to 6 weeks. If this continues, you got to do something. Whether you bench him at some point, I don't think it's going to happen anytime soon. But something has to happen here. And as I said earlier, whether Doug Pederson needs to get more involved than he is, and as you brought up before we move on here, you had said, and it's a very good point, and you noticed it, and I did notice it, but I didn't really bring it up. In Doug's press conference, was it last Monday or last Wednesday when the
Monday one.
Monday one, okay. It was either Dave Zangaro or Zach Berman brought up about the regression, and he didn't even say that's not true. He actually said it was a good question about Carson's regression. So, by the way, he. I'm sure if Doug could go back, he would have defended Carson and not admitted it. Coach, we're not there yet. To answer your question, so we can move on here. I don't think they're there yet. Would you do it if you were them?
Not now, but when you throw 2 interceptions a game for 3 straight games, and you look at the schedule and you see San Francisco, you see Pittsburgh, you see Baltimore, I don't think it's crazy to think that the Eagles might be 0-5-1 after 6 games if Carson continues to play like this. I know he's not the only one that's at fault, but it's a big part of it. And when you're at 5-1, you're in a bad way, and you got to start thinking about making some kind of statements and changes. I don't know that you just play yourself out of 0-5-1 by working harder in practice.
No, it's not even about harder. It's about the messaging and accepting it. We've talked about this now for 3 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
There's just something he's not listening, or he's not taking everything in and doing everything they're asking.
Right.
Because you don't play at this level. He's just not this type of quarterback.
Right.
We could talk all we want about his mechanics have regressed. It's a fact. It's really last season and this season is really where it's been really in a downward spiral.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just puzzling how it's to this level. It's just he has not even come close to having a good game in the first 3. That's the thing that's so maddening.
Yeah, not even close. All right, Adam and I have been telling you about this for as long as we've been doing a podcast. You got to check out phlsportsnation.com. They're enhancing the fan experience with their coverage of all 4 major Philly sports teams, and also the Union. Don't want to forget them, the Eagles, the Sixers, Flyers, Phillies, and the Union. So make sure you head over to phlsportsnation.com. Check out their stories, their content, even do some good podcasts as well. Check those out. Check them out on Twitter at phlsportsnation. We thank them for being great affiliates. And we'll pause real quick for another word from a great sponsor. All right, Adam, real quick before we get on to our Manscaped men of the game, let's just focus in on the defense a little bit, because there were 2 changes I know. Well, not changes. One was a change. One was something, I think, a development. Derek Barnett was able to practice in full all week, but he still didn't start. Josh Swift started at right defensive end and even had a sack. Barnett wound up having 2 sacks as well. And then also, it looked to me, I'll have to go check out the tape, but I think Cre'Von LeBlanc started in the slot over Nickel Roby.
Oh, he did. Oh, yeah.
They both played, but Strap got the first call there.
He did. Yeah, Strap had a lot. He had 7 total tackles. He tackled for a loss. Yeah, that was – there's been a surprise every game that no one knew about. That the LeBlanc one was surprising. I mean, I know they like him, Schwartz particularly, but that was surprising to me that they did that. But obviously, it's what happened the last game. It really that was part of it. That the last game, because Cooper Kupp's is the Rams slot receiver, and obviously Nicole Roby-Coleman did not have a good game, and they made a change there. And that's how you get somebody's attention. You start somebody over him as a backup. I get it.
Yeah.
The defense. Look, they had their moments. There's some good plays, some plays they'd like to have back. I thought they gave up too much room to. I'm glad you brought up Tyler Boyd, by the way, on one of our shows. How good a player he is. Kid is so good. He's so gifted. He's their main slot receiver for the Bengals. He crushed them. He absolutely crushed them. He had so much room. Did you notice how much room he had?
Yeah, he's a good player. And as that offense gets better and as Burrow gets more protection, and Burrow played a nice game. Got hit a lot, and he still played a nice. Didn't turn the ball over. Yep. That connection between Burrow and Boyd is going to be a nice one for.
By the way, do you know how many times they hit Burrow?
I want to. Well, they sacked him 8 times, right?
Yep.
So it must have hit him at least a dozen times because there were
18.
Oh my God.
Quarterback hits. Yeah, look. They got pressure. See, you would think when you get to a quarterback like this, the guy's going to turn it over.
Yeah.
But he didn't, because he's so smart with a football. Yeah, he's a really good athlete, but he's smart with it. And he darted. He can move. He's a real athlete. There's no question. And he's super smart. And he gets the team out of bad plays. He wasn't perfect. He had some throws he'd like to have back. And the Eagles, they had some good coverage, but then their coverage broke down. T. Higgins had some good catches. There was an AJ Green sighting. We weren't sure where he was at, in his career at 32 years old, but on that big play. On the pass catch for 42 yards, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
But look, this issue with the lack of turnovers is maddening. This drives me up the wall. Schwartz and the coaches can say whatever they want, but this is absolutely coachable, and it's inexcusable that they haven't had. They've had 4 turnovers in 7 games. I mean, come on, it's ridiculous.
It's not good. Not good. By the way, we've talked about depth at cornerback and being an issue. Trevor Williams gets in there for a little bit, and as soon as he gets in there, they target him, and he gives up a touchdown to T. Higgins. I mean, we could have written it that way. We knew that was going to be an issue if somebody got hurt.
He's their top outside corner. He's their top outside corner.
Yeah. All right, let's get to our Manscaped men of the game. Who is your Manscaped man of the game, Adam Caplan?
Now, could it be from either team?
Either team.
Oh, gosh. I would have to say Tyler Boyd. I thought he was fantastic. 13 targets, 10 catches. The Eagles simply could not cover this guy in the middle of the field. Almost, I don't know that every catch was between the hashes, but, man, he had so many big-time catches. He also got popped, and he came up big. You obviously like to pick one from a winning team, but nobody won. Nobody literally won that game.
Hard to believe. Well, I'm going to go my Manscaped man of the game is going to be a wide receiver as well, but I'm actually going to give it to Greg Ward. 7 catches, 82 yards, touchdown. And I'll tell you this, for a guy who's, had to, line up I believe at that point it was the Z where he caught the touchdown from, you saw him get pressed at the line of scrimmage, right? He's not a big guy. He's a small little slot receiver. He fought that hand jam off from the cornerback, got open, Carson threw it to him and threw a touchdown. I don't want to say it's not that hard. I'm not the one out there doing it. But, man, I mean, if you're Arcega-Whiteside, you got to be looking at that, man. Oh, my God. Greg Ward's like 6 foot, 180 pounds, and he beat that press coverage.
He's shorter than that. He's not. He's like 5'10".
Yeah, he's like 5'10", 5'11". But, yeah, he's tiny. That's my point. He plays tough. We like the way he plays tough.
It's almost to the point of last year. No Jacks, no D-Jacks, no Jeffrey. And this is who they have out. No, they have Ertz, obviously. But Burnett's back. They have John Hightower, who had to play. And I'm still trying to figure out, by the way, what the hell happened on the catch that Ertz made where Hightower is screaming over the middle right to blind his vision. Like, where was that ball? Who was supposed to get the ball there?
I don't know. That was humorous. Not as humorous, though, as hearing our panelist, Trey Thomas, on our pregame show do a Manscaped read. Now, that is something that everybody must see, must hear, and that's why you have to watch Inside the Birds pregame live every Sunday, because Trey really knows how to let you know the importance. I try to do it, but Trey does it better than me. The importance of taking care of yourself where it matters the most. That's why Manscaped's here with their Surefire Touchdown. They got the best tools for your grooming experience. They've also redesigned their electric trimmer. The Manscaped engineering team spent 18 months perfecting what Trey likes to call the greatest ball hair trimmer ever created. And they've also just released a new and improved Lawnmower 3.0 trimmer that is simply the best hygiene tool for the modern man. It's got this nice ceramic blade and skin-safe technology, so your snags will be reduced. And their Perfect Package 3.0 comes with a new and improved Lawnmower waterproof cordless body trimmer, along with Performer boxer briefs and a travel bag to use when you're done quarantining. So make sure you get the Perfect Package 3.0. It also comes with a Crop Preserver and the Crop Reviver. The Preserver is the anti-chafing ball deodorant, which makes sure that you don't get all sticky when you're out on your afternoon walk. And the Reviver is the spray-on toner that's made with a soothing aloe and witch hazel extracts. It gives you a nice little feeling.
Witch hazel.
There. Witch hazel. Absolutely. Okay. So you can get 20% off and free shipping with the code ITB at manscaped.com. Take advantage of this limited time offer from Manscaped's Pro Bowl lineup and try it yourself. 20% off and free shipping with the code ITB at manscaped.com. 20% off free shipping at manscaped.com. Use code ITB this football season. You got an audible from the ordinary and choose Manscaped for your male grooming needs. All right. Before we get out of here, I wanted to, again, go back to the macro, Adam. San Francisco, Pittsburgh, Baltimore.
Oh,
yikes! What's got to we got plenty of time to do the tape review show on Wednesday and the preview show on Friday. But Like, I don't know. It's hard to feel. I can't remember feeling like the Eagles really might be on a 5-game or a 6-game winless streaks. It would be, but this is a real threat. The problem is Washington and Cincinnati were supposed to be the lightweights early on, so that you had a couple of wins and then you can go into this 3-game stretch and duke it out a little bit.
How in the world they only scored 23 points against a bad defense? I know they have some good, talented young players, but they're a bad defense. They have an awful offensive line, and the Eagles got to the quarterback. But again, didn't get any turnovers, inexcusable. This is 4 turnovers in 7 games. It's absurd. You're almost half it. I know it goes back to last season, but you have the same philosophy.
Mm-hmm.
It's just that something feels different about this particular dry spell for this team, which started at the beginning of the season.
Right.
There's just something missing with this football team. Lack of focus, lack of urgency. Totally. It's like some parts of their game they have it, some they don't. The game on Sunday. Some weren't. We discussed the quarterback. The in-car loss. It wasn't Dunlop with 58 car loss, and all of a sudden he had a really good game. It's just weird. They're making heroes out of these opponents players who you wouldn't expect because you're just not playing well.
Yeah.
Now Schwartz is a good coach. He's generally rallies. So is Doug Pederson, but they're not getting the job done.
No,
and time's running out here. As you correctly said, they're in trouble right now. They're real trouble.
They are. And obviously we're going to get back. We got to find out about the injuries to Deshaun, the injuries to Maddox, the injuries to Goddard. And of course, Jason Peters will have all that and some review of what went wrong and some of what went right on Wednesday morning on our next podcast when we do the tape review. That's going to do it for this edition of Inside the Birds, the leading podcast in Eagles Intel. Big thanks to our producer, Hunter Brody. Check out his work on YouTube. It's called Sports Talk with Broads. Make sure you're checking him out on Twitter at Broads81. And as always, we thank you for flying with us inside the bird.